You will never meet such unusual people, from the man who can turn his head like an owl to the smallest woman in the world, barely bigger than a doll. Here are the 10 people with unusual physiques. Chefboy Bonus is an American artist known for his singing talents. At the same time, the man indulges in other passions such as creating content on TikTok or on Instagram, in which he now has nearly 329,000 followers. If all these subscribers appreciate him, it is mainly for his offbeat humor, but also for a physical feature that very few people on Earth have. Open your eyes and see what this man is capable of doing. Don't open them too wide either, because I'll explain why. On American Got Talent, Chefboy came to boast about his talent of being able to take his eyeballs out of their place without having to touch them, which gives him an inhuman look. If some people find it funny, the majority is horrified by this gesture. First because it is scary, and then because it looks like his eyes are going to fall out. Oh, it's just awful. But to hear him talk, it doesn't hurt him. It is necessary to believe that he is not cold in the eyes. In Japan, people take their dogs out a lot, carry them in their arms, go shopping, carry their babies. In short, they very rarely have their hands free to hold their umbrellas when it rains a lot. A young woman found the solution to this problem. She uses a member of her body to carry objects when her hands are full, even though this member is not dedicated to that. Ayumi Takada, who is compared to Elastic Girl, has the ability to stretch the lobes of her ears and use them to carry everyday objects: umbrella, selfie stick, pen, calligraphy brushes, or even a broom. She realized this physical particularity when she was in elementary school. One day, when it was raining heavily and her hands were full, she decided to use her umbrella for the first time as a third hand and to wrap it around her earlobe. Her lobes can stretch up to 4.5 centimeters, allowing her to wrap them around various objects and hold them finally in place, contrary to what you might think. The best part is that apart from the absence of pain, Ayumi's lobes can return to their natural and initial state without any problem. That is to say, they don't deform with time, which doesn't cause any damage to her aesthetic aspect. It's all good. On the other hand, when asked about the origin of this amazing physical characteristic, the young Japanese girl does not know what to answer. Probably a family trait. Have you ever seen a woman with a wasp waist? A real wasp waist, not just a way of speaking. Her name is Sunaing. She comes straight from Burma, and this young woman of 25 years claims to have the smallest waist in the world, 34 centimeters. Of course, without having had surgery. On the networks, the young woman is assailed by negative comments that accuse her of faking her photos, but Sunaing says that her photos are not retouched. Others say that they would have had their ribs removed, something she also denies. Sunaing insists that her size is very natural, and that it could be due to an inheritance from someone in her family. To support her words, she adds that she is very careful with her diet and does not eat anything. She also exercises to help her keep that size and stay healthy. Today, the young woman aspires to appear in the Guinness Book of Records for this unusual physical feature, and thus be able to dethrone the current holder of the title, an English woman named Ethel Granger, who is thinner than her by only a few centimeters. The latter owes her height to the fact that she wears a corset 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Do you think she has the right to claim the title? When you were a kid, watching the Popeye cartoon, you were impressed by his big muscular arms, right? Well, you will be even more impressed when you see the real Popeye in the flesh. His name is Matthias Schlitter. He is German and he is 35 years old. He works as a co-commentator for the international sports channel Eurosport. His physical particularity is to have a very big arm, unlike the second one, which is quite normal. If you think it's because he works in the sports world or that he has only lifted weights with one hand, you're wrong, because this physical particularity is actually due to a genetic defect called the Klippel-Trenaunay-Weber syndrome. Matthias Schlitte was born with one right arm stronger than the other. In order not to make a big deal of it, the young German knew how to turn this physical defect to his advantage and decided to pursue a career in the discipline of arm wrestling. He is now the holder of several awards won during the competitions in which he participates. To put her nose everywhere, Suzanne Kleber is a champion. Not that she is rude or too curious, it's just that this German woman who lives in Bavaria is officially the woman with the biggest nose in the world. And she got this title by adding up the length and width of her nose during a competition organized in Germany every 5 years. Hers has a total length of 103.55 millimeters. That's what we call having a nose. If you go to Minnesota in the United States and you happen to meet a man with very big arms and oversized hands, don't be afraid. It's only Jeff Dabe, the contender for the title of World Arm Wrestling Champion. Apart from his arms, of 49 centimeters in circumference, Jeff Dabe, American wrestler by profession, has gigantic hands, big enough to hold a basketball in each. The University of Minnesota, which studied Jeff's case, tested him for signs of gigantism and elephantiasis, but the tests found no link with either of these two conditions. The size of his hands surprises everyone who sees him and shocks those who meet him for the first time. Some even panic, but rest assured, Jeff Dabe is as gentle as a lamb. Now we warn you, what you are about to see is slightly scary and not from a horror movie. But rest assured, no one is hurt in this case. This young Pakistani is called Shamir Khan. At the time this video was taken, he was 14 years old and he boasted an incredible talent. He was able, well, he still is if he is still alive, to turn his head 180 degrees exactly like an owl. So he is able to see behind him without turning his body or even moving his shoulders. Absolutely phenomenal. Just in case you are tempted to try to do the same, I remind you that this ability is not natural and that Shamir Khan is not a child like the others, so you should not venture to do as he does. Here's one that will make Shakira jealous. For the blow, the singer said true in her song "Hips Don't Lie" because when you see the hips of this woman, it is sure that their size is more real. Possessing a hip size of, hold on to your hips, 241.3 centimeters, American Bobby Joe Wesley, living in Pennsylvania, is one of the women with the biggest hips in the world. If you think that this is complex, not at all. The 48-year-old American is so proud of her hips that she thinks she is sexy and wants to make them bigger. To do this, she does not shy away from anything, even if it means putting her health at risk. And for good reason. The woman has a goal, that of beating the record of her compatriot Michael Ruffinelli, who displays her 251.46 centimeters per meter. You understood it. To surpass her rival, Bobby spends her days eating to gain even more weight, ignoring all the problems that this causes. Indeed, the daily life of the woman is very complicated. She moves with difficulty and has a thyroid disorder, which is responsible for her obesity. To stay in shape and save her skin, the 40-year-old must lose more than 100 kilograms. In the meantime, Bobby has made this particularity her business, since she takes advantage of her body even while staying at home behind a computer. I don't need to say what she does because it's not religiously correct. But I guess you're good enough at guessing to know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the American woman manages to make a tidy sum at the end of the month, enough to support herself and buy more and more food. Even though she lives with her husband, Bobby receives many gifts. She has many fans, especially men, and even marriage proposals. On our channel, we have presented you several times people with very long tongues. But in the meantime, a new candidate has been added to the list. He is American. He comes from Michigan. His name is Dante Barnes, and he has set a world record for the largest tongue circumference. This one has a circumference of 12.19 centimeters, which is equivalent to the diameter of a ping pong ball. You might think that a ping pong ball is quite small, but try to put it in your mouth, you'll see. When he unfolds it, Dante's tongue is about 42 millimeters long and 40 millimeters wide. A real carpet. Dante realized this unique physical feature after watching a video of someone else showing the circumference of his tongue, and decided to try measuring his own. I see you already looking for your double decimeter. Don't bother. I highly doubt that this record can ever be broken, at least by a human being. You think your darling's beard is too long? You would like him to shave it from time to time, but he doesn't want to. Wait until you see Hans Nisland Langseth, born in 1846 in Eidsvoll, Norway, and died in 1927 in Windermere, USA. Hans Nilsson held the record for the longest beard in the world. He grew his goatee as part of a contest when he was 19 years old with no intention of breaking any particular record. It was just for the game. Although there's no record of him winning the contest that year, he traveled to the United States sometime later, where this time he took things seriously and presented his beard in a freak show. It had grown a lot in the meantime, until it reached a length of 5 meters 33. At his death when he was 81 years old, he was separated from it. He was buried in the Elk Creek Church Cemetery in Kensett, Iowa, and his beard was generously donated to the Smithsonian Institution's Department of Anthropology in 1967. You have certainly seen her on television or on the internet. This little Indian woman who claims to be the smallest woman in the world. Her name is Giada Yami. She is 28 years old and she is an actress. Yes, she has to do a job, so she might as well use her physical particularity to good effect. This young woman is officially the smallest woman in the world according to the Guinness Book of Records. She obtained this title at her 18th birthday when she was 62.8 centimeters tall. Giada actually suffers from a genetic disease called primordial dwarfism. Since she became known, Giada Yami has been a frequent guest in the media for shows and documentaries. She was featured in the 2009 documentary Body Shock, 2-foot-tall teen, and on Big Boss 6. The young Indian girl has also been cast as Ma Petite in the 4th season of American Horror Story, Freak Show. Despite her small size, Giada has a great career. She does not work. It was in 2012 that she was made to meet the male version of herself, the world's shortest man from Nepal, named Chandra Bahadur Dangi. Both posed for the 57th edition of the Guinness Book of World Records. Today, the young Indian woman is so famous that she has her own wax statue in the Celebrity Wax Museum in Lonavala. It shows that you can be very small and have big dreams. Now tell us in the comments what you think of these unusual and incredible people. And don't forget to subscribe and click here to watch another of our videos.